Hi. I want to read something to you from the New Testament, and I'm hoping it will help wash away fears about the Great Tribulation and the times that we're living in now. And once I read it, then I will explain to you, do not fear, do not become dispirited. You should just do that because God told us, don't be afraid. But I want to read to you from the Bible, from Matthew 24:21, and I'm going to explain, why don't be afraid. And this is going to be particularly interesting if you already believe that we are the people of Revelation 20 and that we live in the little season and Satan's short season and that Jesus has already established his millennial reign. Anyway, let me read this. For then there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. It means the Great Tribulation is the worst time the world has ever seen or ever will see. That's what that means. It means it's going to be the worst time ever, and after that, Jesus establishes his millennial reign for 1,000 years where he rules the earth with an iron rod. And then after that, Satan must be loosed from his chains for a short time to deceive the nations. And then the forces of darkness, like grains of sand in the sea, will gather together against the camp of the saints for the battle of Gog and Magog. But what's here in Matthew 24:21, I'll read it one more time. For then there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. Now, if you believe that we are the people of Revelation 20, then the Great Tribulation is over. So the worst time that the world will ever know has already happened, and it's not going to happen again, because that was the worst that the world's ever going to see. So, if you believe that we're the rest of the dead, which isn't something I don't know if I've ever even talked about that before in a video. But anyway, you're here, I'm here. If the Great Tribulation already happened, and I do believe that it has, there's just so much substantiation for it, right out of Jesus' mouth. Even those who pierced me will see me coming on the clouds. He's speaking to the 7 churches, and none of those places where the 7 churches are exist anymore. They've all been destroyed. They're all buried. There was a destruction of the temple in 70 AD. So what, they're going to do it again? No, it's already, all that stuff already happened. And I could just keep going on go watch videos on why I believe we're in Satan's short season, or go watch people whose videos are better than mine on it. But there's a lot of plans that they have for our future. The wealthy elite whose fortune shaped the fates of nations, when it changes into silica-based life forms. We know what they're doing with children. Everybody says this now. Now we know who runs the world. Rich inbreds who rape children, eat them, and live off of the life essence of every other living thing on the planet, and they worship the devil. And that's what, all that. That's where we live. But if the Great Tribulation happened already, that means that this is going to be a dud. We know that the disgusting stuff has been going on for a long time. Rich people, Rothschilds, and all those other people, like the only time they show up at Parliament is to make it so that people can't have raw milk. Why is that so important to them? 2 times the Rothschilds show up at Parliament, and one of them is to make sure that you can't have raw milk. What was the other one? Anyway, it's bad. So as disgusting as the world looks, and it is disgusting, this is true. It's not the Great Tribulation, and they're trying to set us up now to make us believe that it's a Great Tribulation. So along with that comes, they're going to set up a fake revelation to lead mankind astray, so that they won't believe in God anymore, and then they're just going to do whatever they want to us. That sounds pretty terrible, and the idea of like going back to the old days of Baal, where people are walking around with kids on leashes, and and they have prolapsed anuses and all this stuff, and it just becomes normal to sacrifice children. And you can be we can all be like Muhammad. We can marry a 9-year-old or 6-year-old or whatever, and all that shit. That's never however bad it gets, all these horrible plans they have for us, like we're going to re-terraform the planet and make us into, we're going to cross over from being human into being not human anymore, and they want to know everything about you and measure your shits, and Plandopolis megacities, and no one can get married, and you will live in the pods, you will eat the bugs, and you will own nothing. That sounds terrible, all this shit that I just said. And there's worse. Tell me the other worse things. Like, you can't, like, we're taking the food away. We're going to keep doing the blackouts. We're going to put these substations everywhere and 6G and all this stuff. And it sounds like a nightmare. But, and I hope this is reassuring to you, it's not the Great Tribulation. That happened already, I do believe. So if you don't believe in that, maybe you should read the Bible and see how it couldn't, like, so what, the apostles were wrong? God says, you will not taste death till you see, some of you here today will not see death, will not taste death until you see me coming on the clouds. So does that mean these guys are still alive, that they're like thousands of years old because he's coming now? No, he's been here already. He's had his millennial reign. And the Byzantine architecture and all that stuff, that we can't duplicate today, and how beautiful the churches were, that we can't duplicate that today either, and all the stuff of old world architecture and all the stuff that you can see on other people's videos. I don't do those. And they're always showing you, like, look, here's old buildings, and I'm into all that stuff. When I first heard about Satan's Short Season and the Tartaria and old world architecture and all that stuff, I didn't want to believe it. But I've been in those places, and when I thought about it, like, I simmered on it. I made a video where I called it Tartaria, and I was like, it's bullshit and it's not real. And then I thought about it, because I've traveled some, and even just going to the Louvre, however you pronounce it, and seeing how the artwork today is so insane that we can't duplicate it, and the architecture and the carvings and all this crazy stuff that I saw, that just no artist alive or architects or wage slaves or whatever that can't build these types of buildings. And if you know anything about construction, and I grew up in an area where every third guy was a contractor, so everybody was like building stuff all the time, and seeing like Gothic cathedrals and being inside those places, and, and they have like saints or whatever you believe are buried in these places, and it's more substantiation, at least to me. I mean, it doesn't really help you believe it, but it's more substantiation to me that the Great Tribulation has already happened. That, along with all the stuff in the Bible, like did I say this already? Where all the churches that are taught, the 7 churches and the advice, like Philadelphia, you're doing great, keep going. I have trouble with you, Smyrna, we got to talk. And then the letters to the churches, all those places are destroyed. And if you go look, you can see that they're buried, like under the ground, like, they're digging those places up. I've been to Ephesus, they dug it up. You can, you know what I mean? Like, they're excavating it. There's a lot of stuff there. All these places are destroyed. And I think that part of the Great Deception is making people believe that, and again, why am I saying all this stuff? Because they want to turn us away from God. I already did this video. Hey, they're setting up a fake tribulation because they want to build people up to believe in God, and then when they're not caught up in the clouds in the rapture, which is not what the rapture is about. It says, 2 men will be in the field, one will be left behind, and one will be taken. Where are the people that are taken to? To be eaten by the birds. When I was growing up, they used to say, that's for the birds, which comes from the Bible, and it means nobody's getting raptured. That's the first disappointment, that if you believe there's a tribulation and you believe in a pre-trib rapture, that's not happening for anybody. So it's going to be very disappointing to a lot of people. And there's a lot of other things, like if the Great Tribulation already happened, what they're doing is a lousy counterfeit of the fake tribulation. And they want to do that so we give up on God, so that we'll turn away from God and believe in one world religion. And I think a lot of this stuff just isn't going to work. It's a risky thing to turn people to God, and if they find Him and they hold on to Him and He holds on to them, that communication between them and God is not, like if somebody really wants God and they go to Him and He starts to speak through them, if His Holy Spirit rests upon this person and there is a fake tribulation being set up, they're not going to fall for it, because they're going to feel it. They're going to feel the Spirit of God saying, you know what I mean? It's going to be exposed. So I would say it's kind of a risky thing. And if there never will be a time like the Great Tribulation, then that means if the Great Tribulation happened already, and we're the people of the short season, which I do believe that we are, it's not, whatever, how bad it is now that we're finding out all the stuff that they murdered children and eat babies and make them into milkshakes and all this shit, which is disgusting. I mean, like, it's like the most horrifying thing, that what feeds how they run the world is destroying children and harvesting that energy and the terror and all this stuff. And it's like the most vile, disgusting thing. And then you go, well, what if people don't do anything about it? And Prince Andrew's getting away with it, and the Clintons are getting away with it, and Trump's a maniac. And I told you that before he go look at Rumble, and I said, it's not good that he's getting elected. And then when they threw Elon in there, I'm like, Elon's grandfather got kicked out of Canada for trying to start a technocratic party. These guys are bozos and snakes. And as evil as it is, and all these horrible plans that they wanted, a future based on biometrics and live in the pod and eat the bugs and all stuff that I can't shut up about, at some point it's going to be shut down, because as horrifying as it seems, never will there be a time like the Great Tribulation. So all I can think to say is that the worst is already, well, I mean, the worst is yet to come, because, we like our lives. We can see what happened to the UK, what they did, in different countries, Germany and France and in London and all this stuff. And what's happening all over the world, Italy, America, and all these horrible things that are happening to us, how they use social media to divide and conquer. And all the stuff they want to do, like talking about, like, hey, you like furry stuff? We're going to give you dog DNA. You think hormone replacement therapy and litter boxes in public schools is, like, look what they're doing to us. Yeah, but if you look at how they lived in the past, it was pretty disgusting. I mean, they had a town named Sodom in the past, and God wiped it off the face of the earth. That was before the tribulation. That was like way before the tribulation. That was Old Testament, right? So we have Jesus telling us in the Bible, in red, because you ever have a Bible where everything that God says is written red, and everything else is just like, like you can just go right, like, oh, it's written red, God said that, and then So let me read it again, Matthew 24:21. For then there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. Which it means, like, the Great Tribulation is the worst time the world will ever see, and they'll never see a worse time. So it's like the third time. The first time He flooded the earth, okay? And then was the Great Tribulation, and now Gog Magog. So even though all the lives lost and the terror and the horror is unacceptable, and that we, like, when you pray to God, you should be praying, Lord, please don't let them get away with this. All the stuff that's in the Epstein files, we can't just go back to watching TikTok compilations. And I mean, that's what you do to, like, maybe ease your mind or whatever. I would say go pray to God if you need to ease your mind. But I know people want to get their dopamine things because we do what we can. We may play a game, play Mario Kart or whatever. Okay. But as horrible as it gets, just know that the Great Tribulation was worse, and that you didn't have to be there for that. I mean, the Great Tribulation talks about people eating babies. Now we know that that's what the elite do, so the demons will talk to them. Because they're vampires and they sold their souls, so they feed off the life essence of other living things. And it's forbidden in the Bible. If you go back to the Old Testament's Leviticus, I forget if it's 15, 17, or 18. It's one of the three. And it's the laws of blood. And it says don't drink blood. And, you know, people drink it. And vampires, like the mythology of a vampire. They're always trying to romanticize vampires. Like, oh, there's a hot vampire guy. He's 300 years old and he's in love with a 16-year-old girl. And that's Twilight. What do you want to do after school, Bella? Do you want to sell your soul and drink blood and live forever? Or do you want to roll around with the dogs and, you know, die? Because I guess werewolves get old and die or whatever. They're not immortal or whatever. And they don't have to, like, kill people. It's just like, what do you want to be down there with the dogs? You want to come upstairs and be one of the elites. And it's going to cost you your soul. You have to do oral or anal. And you got to drink blood. And you can have AI baby or whatever. So I have another theory. I think I'm going to make this into its whole own video. And I assure you, I have never heard this on anybody else's channel. But I thought, man, if I ever had an idea that was my own, this kind of makes sense. I did a video on the dark crystal. We're going to talk about that state that was found. They founded it. Hey, look what we founded in the desert in 1948. Those people that live here have to go. And now they're being genocided. And probably they are genocided already. So, did you forget about that was happening still? So, there's this state that was found in the desert in 1948 on shit land that nobody wants. And there's people living there and they're being genocided now. And we're not supposed to talk about this or name their name. I think it's a ploy. Think about it. It's shit land. And they're like, yeah, but it's like the Holy Land. I don't think so. I think what they want to do is set that up as part of the stage for World War III and say, look, the fake, this is my juice, the fake juice wants this land. But really the wealthy elite have like the choice. They have islands and shit where they have, you know, Willy Wonka children skinning basements and stuff like that. They spent $28 million. Epstein spent $28 million to destroy his basement. What the hell do they have down there? It's like probably some kind of evil satanic temple and, you know, cheese grater water slide thing and all this. It was a torture dungeon, right? To Baal or whatever. Baal. So Satan. It's just Satan. So I think that, you know, the richest people in the world have the whole planet and all the shit that they have that's underground, and they have their places where you can't get into or go, and beautiful scenery where they can, you know, shoot children on an alpine slope, and Johnny Depp's the videographer or whatever because he wants to be like Hunter S. Thompson, whatever you believe. I think they just want to bomb the shit out of that place. I'd say nuke, except that I don't believe in them. Hydrogen bombs. They just want to bomb the shit out of that fake Israel that was founded in the desert in 1948 and make that part of their World War III. That's what I believe. It seems so feasible to me that may be the plan, that I don't doubt that somebody may have a video saying the same thing. Like, it's a whole setup for this fake tribulation they're trying to do, and they're like, well, it's just shit land, and it's like the whole thing's a setup. We know that they have long-term plans for us. When you see Star Trek in the 1960s and they talk about being silica-based life forms, like in the 60s, and we're carbon-based life forms, and they want to make a carbon tax to pay us to breathe. And like, I'm in a book about a carbon footprint. Like, I wrote a chapter for somebody else's book about carbon footprint shit, but I didn't know any better, and now I feel so dumb. But I think that's what they want to do. I think they want to, like, look, they're just Satanists. They worship the devil. It's not about whether they're juice or not juice. They're going to just set them up again. Like who? Like, they know already that the people who are the Christians worship Jesus. So that's the Messiah. So if you have a bunch of people that don't believe that this is the Messiah, it doesn't mean that they're evil. It means that you're just going to sacrifice these people up again and say, hey, go get them. And then there's the whole, what do they call it? The Iron Dome, which is all bullshit. That's not real. They're terrorizing these people. And then they're just going to bomb the shit out of that place because the rich people that drink the blood and everything, they're not going to be there. There are places where you or I don't even get to go, that we don't, they're probably in Antarctica or whatever. They have the whole world to go wherever the hell they want. You hear about Soros and he says, oh, nobody knows where I live. I live wherever the hell I want. In a cave or whatever, the most luxurious cave. You don't know where he lives. And the point is, the richest people in the world, and we know some of the names, like Rothschilds and all this shit, but there's other people that maybe we don't even, like whoever the top 5 evil priests that run the world with the whispers of Satan in their ears and all this stuff. And he tells them how he wants it done. All right, it probably takes like 5 guys to like pretend to watch TV and control the world or whatever. They could be anywhere. But I'll tell you where they're not. They're not in that state that was found in a desert in 1948. That whole thing is a bullshit ploy. They're just going to bomb the fuck out of that place because it's in a desert and say, nobody go over there, and it's toxic and there's radiation. And then they're going to lay down a whole bunch, the plan. I'm not saying they'll get their way, but and then kill a whole bunch of these people, which have nothing to do with it, honestly. And then I just think I like having a prop. I don't think I could just say Jews. They want to just kill a whole bunch of Jews again. But they're Satanists and they drink blood of children. It's not about, they don't believe. They worship the devil. They know what's going on. They're lying to all of us. They're going to bomb the shit out of that place. Look at it. Have you ever seen what it looks like? It's like nothing. It's ugly. Ah, that's our promised land. It's not even about occultism. They're doing their rituals all over the world. Do you see those videos in Ukraine where these evil scumbag guys are like lighting menorahs that are probably made out of children's body oil or whatever, like the fat of burned bodies or whatever you believe. And they're lighting these evil menorahs and stuff. It's about Satan underneath it all, this Talmud shit and everything. That's not most people who are Jewish. It's a deception. They just want to, like, go get them. It's the Jews, and they want them to kill a whole bunch of people, and it's not. They're not even evil. My Dark Crystal review, I talk about the Skeksis and the Urus, and the Urus are the peaceful, gentle, big noses, and the Skeksis are the reptilian, evil, lizard overlords of the world that live in a crystal castle in the desert. That's fun. I'm saying like fun things about like pointing at like the hand-wringing Skeksis, what do we do? And all that stuff. But the whole thing's a setup. Like, they're just going to bomb that place. They're going to bomb the hell out of it and destroy it. And that's part of all their whole plans for what World War III looks like. And it probably lasts like 3 months or something like that, or 33, whatever their numbers are. They want to, all that shit. And it's all, again, it's huge, big scale sacrifice. And yes, underneath it is to lead people away from God. But just because I'm talking about what it is that I think, it's just an idea I have. It's just I'm pulling it out of nowhere. I just was sitting down to eat and I thought, they're just going to bomb that place. It's in the middle of like nowhere. And then they're going to say, oh, the radiation is coming out. So now you guys have to go along with all this stuff because we had our nuclear war and you guys aren't going to go over there anyway. You're not allowed to and everything. So they're saying it's the Holy Land and it's God's land. So we want it and go and get that for us. And these guys are evil, but what's underneath what really rules the world is worshiping the devil. The people in charge are talking to demons. Like they're openly... They know that that's what they're doing, and they're making exchanges with demons. They want us to believe, get them to worship the old gods and whatever they can get away with the fake alien disclosure stuff. Whatever they think they can get away with, they'll try and get away with it. And if they can't get away with it, well then just, like all this stuff being there's a popular show on TV called Fallout, or on streaming or whatever. Who watches TV? So people are watching Fallout on their phones or whatever, and they just want us to be thinking about this stuff. Like they always want it to be like we're always on the edge of the end of the world. I think one of my old videos that maybe somebody else has up on their channel of my old videos, like Soften the Coffin or Champion of Love. Go look at the bottom of my homepage, and you can see my old embarrassing videos. and see how poorly I've aged. And I've been here since like 2013 or 14 maybe on YouTube, and I had podcasts on SoundCloud like whenever I figured out how to do that. Audio only, obviously. And I think it's just a setup. It's a setup for this fake tribulation. So, and also a letdown. Like, oh, it didn't. What about the stuff where this is supposed to happen and it doesn't happen the way that we thought? And then they want people to turn away from God, I believe. And I think that part of it is just saying, like, oh, look, this has gone too far. Look, they want, they wear it on their military's badges, the land that they claim is theirs, and they just want to take it. I don't even think they believe in any of that stuff. And forgive my ignorance if I'm wrong about that. I think it's just a strategy to inculate the idea of World War III to lead us to one world government. I mean, we kind of have, like, look at when we went into lockdowns worldwide. Is that not one world government? But there's stages of this. This is what agenda for the 21st century and all the other things that I talk about all the time. I think it's a lie. I think that's part of the lie. I think it's to get people to turn away from God. But no matter whatever really happens, if their plans start to fail, then they may just, set up for the battle of Gog Magog. Stuff like 6G, like what do they want to do with 6G and like make people sick and like send out bad vibes and all this stuff? Sure. But, when you see movies, do you ever see Stephen King's Cell? It was a book first, obviously, but they made the movie with John Cusack and who's that guy? Samuel Jackson are in that movie. And at the end, they're like walking around I think they're walking around the cell phone tower because they become like zombies. Cell phones put out a signal, which is like 5G or 6G or whatever, and they become zombies, and they just walk around the cell phone tower. So whatever they want to do to MK Ultra, they're already MK. We're living mass MK Ultra in all these different ways, just all these different ops. Now people just become part of the regular way that we talk to each other online. When we say dystopia, and I don't even mean people that talk about conspiratorial things. Like everybody says dystopia, they say MK Ultra, they say psyops. Oh, it's a psyop. They say humiliation ritual. I'm surprised how much I hear people and just like, crap that I watch. I just watch like a minute of it. I'm like, okay, I don't need to see it. And they'll say humiliation. They misuse humiliation ritual. So it's just part of the popular culture now, at least, with my videos I see from America. And I think that, the stages of setting up New World Order would probably be where everybody's like, they're evil, Israel, and they're letting us, like, hate them. And then they're going to sacrifice up a whole bunch of people who are not evil, that live as Jewish people, that are not evil, not top 1% grabblers or whatever it is that you believe. And they're going to offer them up as sacrifice. And they're going to always, that's how you contract with the devil, they want to get us to do it. They want us to go along with the evil, and then we're guilty. And then they can go to God and say, look, God, they went along with it. They agreed with it. And then, even though God knows that they were deceived and it was done in ignorance, it was also still evil. And I think that's what they want to do. They're like, the people who are at the top, the wealthy elite the wealthy elite inbreds whose fortunes shape the fates of nations, who may come from, like Nephilim, fallen angel bloodlines and all this shit. They just know that they're against God. So that's just this idea of like, we should go after the Jews. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, but all 2 A's, 1 L, all shit. They want us to go along with that. And then they're going to say, well, here's what we got to do. We want to traumatize everybody beyond the ways that they traumatize us through movies and TV and the news and videos, telling people that they shouldn't fall in love with each other. It's always divide and conquer as a strategy. And the reason for the fall of angels is like pride and vanity and narcissism, I guess you could say, exalting themselves instead of giving it up to God and saying, you want this for them? Look at how crappy these people are. It should be for us. They should worship us. So they want us to go back to worshiping them again, which may go into like alien saviors and shit like that. Whether or not they can get away with it, who knows? But I think that all these horrible things that they have lined up and planned for us, I think a lot of them won't get to see fruition, because at some point it's going to be battle of Gog Magog, whether you or I live to see it or not. The forces of darkness, like grains of sand in the sea. Well, if one man in the New Testament, when Jesus walked the earth, cast out a legion of demons out of a guy and put them in a herd of swine and drown the swine and all that stuff, that means one guy can have a lot of demons in him. So maybe something that might be helpful is considering that it may be possible that the forces of Gog Magog may not mean people fighting against God, but the demons having to leave the people, because so many demons. If a legion of, what's a legion? Is like 6,000 men or something, like 6,000 soldiers. What's a legion? Go look it up, please. And then I can't hear you because this is a video I'm recording, and you're watching it. So leave a comment. What's a legion? I think it's like 6,000 soldiers. So if one guy can have like a lot of demons in him, and look at how the world is and how dirtied we are. So many people are lousy with demons like fleas on a mangy hound all over the world. And some people openly worship and venerate demons, which probably opens them to that. What do we do in America? We have Halloween. We dress up and let spirits of Chucky and Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers and the Terrifier and zombies and all this shit inhabit us. And we get possessed. Hawk to a girl. Is that a costume? Whatever. That's like after the Halloween party. Whatever. Anyway, I think that it may be that in Gog Magog, it's where all the forces of darkness could mean lots and lots of demons or unclean spirits. I'm not sure how demons are made. Like, people will say the demons are dead Nephilim, and I'm like, yeah, but I think there's also other demons. I think the demons are being made. Like, maybe when you goon and you drop goo, you're half of an equation. A man and a woman join together to create life. But if you're alone, and there's an encouragement to masturbate, and it is a sin, but I think part of the sin may be that you're somehow making unclean spirits. Could be. There could be demons with your eyebrows. Could be. And they're very unhappy and miserable because, you think you're alone. You're gathering a bunch of energy, which is supposed to be for the act of creation to bring somebody here. And instead it's just spent energy when the person has an orgasm, whether it's a man or a woman. And then, demons are there to catch the other half of that equation, and maybe that's how more little demons or ghoulies or kumlins or whatever are made. Could be. I'm not sure about that. We know that you can harvest the energy, the orgasm, from Wilhelm Reich. But anyway, I think that if one guy back in the days when Jesus was alive could have a legion of demons in him, so much so that he cast the demons into a herd of swine. How many are in a herd of swine when Jesus was alive? I don't know. Tell me, like 500 or something. I don't know. And then he casts the whole herd into the water and drowns them so the demons can't be in them, because, maybe if the people would eat the pigs, then they would get demons or something. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, the point is that he drowned the whole herd of swine, okay? So probably those swine, each one had a lot of demons in them. And each person can have a lot of demons in us today. And we have witch talk. And people openly embrace occultism and New Age. And a lot of Christians are doing it wrong, like Bethel Ministries and their Bethel cards. And they're doing like fortune telling and astrology shit. And, I don't think God likes it. And they're probably doing it wrong. So it's all just summoning spirits and demons, and people are getting possessed, and all the fornicating, and probably you're participating in some kind of a ritual every time you kill people in a video game, like symbolically. Like, there's different ways to do occult ritual. Well, they're not occult anymore. If I'm talking about, it's not hidden, but there's a way of doing evil rituals, and one is where you actually kill somebody. And then another one is when you symbolically perform the act of killing somebody. So you're symbolically killing A lot of people in video games. And I don't know, that's probably not helping us. So anyway, there's a lot of demons. There were a lot of demons in Jesus' time. Then I do believe we're the people of Revelation 20. Satan is loose from his chains. So that means there's still, obviously there's a lot of demons here. There's like a rise in exorcisms. There's a lot of people putting demons in, and there's a lot of people actually taking them out. Probably now more than has been in a while, right? It seems like our attention's drawn to this more than it was in the past. And again, because of the internet, and maybe also because of the times that we're in, and because of how we're being corrupted by the internet on our phone and smart TVs. And I think that's enough for now. But what do you think about this? I want to do like a separate video where I just go into the whole. I think they're just gonna bomb the shit out of Israel. Because they don't really care about that. Like, they have the whole rest of the planet. Why that place is like a shithole. Sorry, it's not so great. Maybe they have, you know what I mean? Like, they're just gonna, it's just a trick on those people. And yeah, I know people, IDF people are doing horrible things, but that's not everybody. And there's a lot of Jewish people all over the whole rest of the world. And they don't mind making them scapegoats to just be like, you know, because they worship Satan. They would kill any kind of people. They'll use whoever they want. They will use, you know, forces of darkness will use all people as puppets, and the people that they whisper into the ears of, the elites that the demons tell to do, they'll sacrifice anybody. You know, they don't give a shit. That's evil. They're liars. They betray each other. They stab each other in the back. It's not just one group of Satanists that want to rule the world. There's these different factions with different demons that don't, or fallen angels or whatever, principalities, and they don't even get along. They're fighting each other, I believe, for power in the world. They don't all get along with each other. There's different groups, and they want, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you can get into all Illuminati and the Freemasons and the Rothschilds and the, you know, whatever, these different families and stuff, and they're fighting, you know, they have different demons backing them. They have different fallen angels and principalities and all this shit backing them. And they're fighting to destroy the world and all go to hell, basically, because we know how this ends when God settles the earth. They lose. They lose the battle of Gog Magog. And I have a whole video. I don't have it done yet, but I have a whole full sheet of notebook paper full of instances in the New Testament in support of that we live in the short season, that we're living in the short season. And it's all stuff that Jesus attributed to that he says, that's like letting you know, like, hey, I'm coming right back. Like, he ascends and he's like basically telling I'm coming right back. And with the destruction of the temple and what we call 70 AD, even though timelines are probably messed up and everything, he settled the earth. He ruled the earth with an iron rod for 1,000 years, and that's where all that, you know, cool architecture in these beautiful churches, the churches that we can't make today, where when the people sing, it resonates with frequencies that are not harmful to us. And then you have, when records are made, the Rothschilds are told, look, we can have records recorded at a frequency that's good for mankind, and that like will be like a good harmonic resonance with man's body and for good health, or we can make it like discordant and it will have a harmful effect on man. And they're like, make it all harmful, make all the records that ever are played, make it all hurt people, make it be that harmful frequency. You know what I'm talking about when they talk about this 43 hertz is actually a frequency that's alignment for the health of man. And they're like, yeah, not that one. We want the one that makes people sick. We want the frequency that kills the plants. So there's, you know, and there's countless, well, I mean, there's probably a lot. I don't know if it's countless. You could probably count them all, and it'd be a lot. There's a lot of examples of willfully, like everybody's said this before, like, look at the richest people in the world. Are they making life for mankind better? No, they're telling us, like, no, we're going to take everything away from you guys, and you should fight each other for it. And we're going to, like, like whatever technologies there are to like make water from the ocean clean. Instead, we're just going to ruin it, and we're going to put up substations and ruin everything there. And they're destroying the planet on purpose, while they will go off in the nicest places and do something other, like murder children in beautiful settings. And then they want us to live on top of each other and eat the soil and fight each other and be degraded. It's transhumanism. You're crossing over from being humans. Man was never a monkey, but what we're going to do is we're going to take man and turn him into a monkey. That's what you know what I mean? Like, they just want to degrade us and tell us we can live in a thumb drive, and then we're just going to be dead. And you're not going to be in a thumb drive. It takes a long time, I guess, to change people into a silica-based life form. But that's one of the things they say they want to do. I don't think they're ever really going to get there. And I think a lot of their plans were like the Jacques Attali the next 1,000 years. They're never going to get to any of that shit. That's not going to happen. And you say, yeah, but they got a lot of stuff now, and look what they can do with AI. Yeah, and at some point it's going to be cut off. God's going to cut them off. And you can pray stuff like this. I do. I feel like I can't go to bed without praying that God cuts them off, so that the preparations for the ritual sacrifices burn them and the forces of darkness that they serve, so that they can't do the rituals, and that lives are saved, and cut them off. And I pray, Lord, please make it so that they can't lash out, strike back, or retaliate once they know that they're cut off and that you won't allow their rituals to work anymore. All the authority is God's. You have to start praying. Like, think about weaponized prayer. It's a weapon. Like, when you look at every book on like one world government and globalization, or whatever you want to call it, they always don't want people to pray to God anymore. Like, if it doesn't matter and your prayers don't matter, then they wouldn't try and make one world religion. The point is to lead you away from Jesus. They want to lead you away from God. That's why you look at the attacks. They're always attacking real Christianity and Jesus and saying, well, you can believe in all this other stuff, that's fine, but you know what's harmful? The guy that laid down his life and his blood for us, that Son of God guy, we don't want anybody praying to him. And the people of the Talmud believe that he's boiling in excrement in hell, so that's not good. If I'm not mistaken, even the Muslims believe that Jesus is the judge, like he will judge everybody, and he is, but he's also our King and our God and the Messiah. So people are being deceived. And I've seen quite a few near-death experience stories where people knew that Jesus was God, now they're not Muslim anymore. And it really tears up a Muslim family. Muslim families are tight, and it really tears up the family. And again, it doesn't mean, they just want us to fight each other. Are people evil because they're Muslims? That's stupid. Are they all pederasts because Muhammad married a 6-year-old and consummated the marriage when she was 9? No. It's just like with the Bible. People don't read their Bible. Even if people read the Quran, they probably don't like that shit. And it doesn't mean that they want to all... we know who the children raper are. The richest people in the world who are in charge. And most people who are Muslims don't want to do that and would be disgusted by that. But they want us to fight each other. Look at the Catholic Church. That's another part of their scheme. When you hear Catholic, they want to use that to turn us away from God. What's the Roman Catholic Church, they say, is it's 1,000 years old. It's the world's 1,000-year-old intelligence agency for rich people to corrupt the planet. And those are the ones that can't stay away from the altar, trying to make rose buddies with the altar boys, which is disgusting. Vatican City has the largest, most elaborate bathhouses in the world. And I don't know if you, from the olden days, that's where the gay guys used to hang out, in bathhouses and shit like that. Vatican City, the age of consent there was 13 years old. Did they change it? Who lives there? Clergy. Roman Catholic clergy. So yeah, those guys are evil. You know what I mean? And the Mormons and their magic underwear and all this shit, and it's not good. So they just want us to fight each other. God put within us goodness, and they want to corrupt that and take our religious differences and use them to fight each other and keep everyone away from Jesus. Which is, it seems to be at one time, probably during the millennial reign, all the different sects of religions we have now are probably perversions of Christianity that came over time. Like, if you believe in the millennial kingdom, which I do, which I believe that it happened already, all the different religions that we have now are pervert. Like you say, oh, they're God of Abraham people. Well, the Quran, the Islam comes from the Talmud, right? And these are just perversions. It's all perversions. All the different religions have, that's when they say, well, all the religions have things that are like the same that they agree on. And yeah, some of those things are probably things of God, but they're distorted when you take away that Jesus is our King and our God. And you can't take that away from me. And they want to do that. They want to set people up for a disappointment. Here's the tribulation you guys thought was going to happen, and then it doesn't play out like they want. It's on one of the Illuminati trading cards, and the card I think is called "They'll Never See This Coming," and it has a spaceship flying into a church. Whatever you think, whatever you want about the Illuminati card game, who gives a shit? Pokemon's probably more fun. Doing demons cockfighting each other. The genies that come out, jinn that come out of a magic ball. That's Japan for you. So, so to reassure you, I believe that the Great Tribulation has already happened. So no matter what happens, as horrible as it is, and they say, well, they're going to take the food away, and people want to do family homesteads and stuff. Good. Maybe if we do these things and we can help other people, God will help us. But shouldn't we be asking Him for help, like now? Yes. Like I always say, pray to God and maybe go look into some short season stuff. JT versus JC, Paul Stobbs, Understanding Conspiracy. Those were the guys that I saw that got me into the short season stuff. First I saw the Paul Stobbs because he's a Nephilim clown guy. And I was like, I don't believe this is bullshit. And then it just, I couldn't not think about it. And I was like, wait a minute. Because when the first time I read the Bible, I was like, well, it sounds like Jesus says He's coming right back. Does this mean that He says, what difference is it to you if I want Him to live till I return? And He's talking about St. John, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm like, so does that mean that St. John is still alive, like he's thousands of years old now or something? And He's talking to the people when Jesus is talking, He's telling the people, you will see me coming on the clouds. And He's not talking about the transfiguration. That's not it. So when I read the Bible for the first time, I had that. I remember, I thought, well, that kind of seems like He was here already. But I didn't connect it with millennial reign and all that. That never even, you know what I mean? But I do remember the first time I read the Bible and I thought, well, it sounds like He's coming right back. So, and then if you ask questions about this to me, it was Eastern Orthodox clergy, which has been a complete and total disappointment. I don't care what you say. I haven't met an Eastern Orthodox clergy that I like yet. Not a single one. I'm sorry. Okay, one. But he's a kid. He'll probably become evil. Anyway, they would just say, oh, well, they were wrong. And I'm like, the apostles were wrong? And then if you want to agree with that, then you got to look at what Jesus says. And you're like, so wait a minute, is Jesus lying? He's not coming right back? They who pierced... So when the temple was destroyed in 70 AD, did He come in the clouds or not? Because He says, you who pierced me will see me coming on the clouds. Does that mean that those bozos get to live to be thousands of years old? They're still here? Bullshit. He came back already. So, when I read you Matthew 24:21 and I tell you that the worst is behind us, well, in one way, yes, I do believe it's true. But in another way, yeah, they want to do horrible stuff, so be prepared and be a prepper and learn permaculture or whatever you can do and all that kind of thing. Because I don't know when He's coming back. And you should develop a relationship with Him and pray to Him and keep in mind how important forgiveness is. I have another video on the value of forgiveness and how I wasn't doing it and it was standing between me and God. It's a precondition. It's in the Lord's Prayer. When you pray to your Father, pray then like this. And He says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, which means forgive us our sins as we forgive those we've sinned against, which also means forgive us our debts as we forgive those indebted to us who owe and cannot pay. And it means forgive, be forgiving. And I said that I forgave, And I was even in like social settings with other Christians where I was like, they're saying like, forgive them then. And I would forgive the people in front of others with witnesses. And I really didn't forgive. I really didn't forgive them. I was still holding on to it. So like forgiveness really is important. It's an obstacle between you and God. You really have to find a way to forgive people who you know have wronged you. And sometimes, as the case with me, I couldn't I said, yeah, I forgive them. But anytime I would think about them, I get really pissed off. And I'm like, that's not forgiveness. So that's another video. Pray to God. What do you think about my they're gonna blow the shit out of that fake Israel? You know what I mean? Like, that's not whatever they say. We have this land and they're genociding the Palestinians, and then they want to sprawl, and you can see, you know, all the territory that they want. I think that's part of a big setup. I think all that shit is just to get to, you know, Agenda 21, Agenda 21st Century Agenda stuff into, you know, all the stuff that they want if you look into that. And yeah, they're Satanists underneath it all. They don't I don't know if they worship. They're just evil, and they're puppets of the forces of darkness and fallen angels and dead Nephilim, and they're possessed by demons and shit and all these things, and they're evil bloodlines or whatever you believe, or they think they are. And they hate us, and misery loves company, and they, you know, this is a thing from the Bible. I guess I should go, but I want to put this one thing in there since I thought of it. They couldn't get through, what was the name of this sorcerer with the donkey? Is this the right part of the Old Testament where he says they can't trick the Jews, they can't trick God's Israel? And then they figure out how to do it. And the way that they figure out how to do it is they're like, they set up like an orgy or something, and they get them to do it. And they're like, if we can get them to do the sin, then that leaves the openings where we can get to them. And that's what they did. And then they got in trouble. There was, you know, God's chosen people, and they were good and they obeyed, and they were like, well, here's how we get through them. Same as always. Pussy. And then they set up an orgy or something, and then that's how they caused them to stumble, or, you know, worship demons or whatever. Same thing with Solomon. Guy has like hundreds of wives, if not 1,000 wives, and then what gets him in trouble with God? He's bound down with an idol because of one of his wives. How hot must the women have been back then, that if all the stuff that God gave to Solomon and spoke to him, and he was the guy that built the temple, and he still messes it up for hot babes. That's awful, right? So anyway, pray to God. And what do you think? I'm interested in comments on this particular video. You know, like, I'm interested in all the comments I get. I appreciate them. And I'm not trying, like, I would like to get the views, but I'm not like, when I say stuff like this at the end of the video, I'm not saying it because I'm like, well, if I say this, then they'll leave comments. Like, I genuinely want comments on what you think about this. And I'll be back with the other video where I want to talk about that they just want to blow up fake Israel and sacrifice a whole bunch of more Jewish people, you know, along with everybody else. They want everybody to just kill everybody, right? They have their population stuff. They want us to do it to each other, which is in reference to the thing that I said in the Bible about the Old Testament, where they were like, just get them to mess it up for themselves. That's what they want us to do. They want us to fight each other to do that. And BlackRock is, you know, the asset management company that they manages 12.5 trillion in assets worldwide. And they believe in forcing behaviors. And they want us to fight each other, and they bought up all the land in America, and they're fucking evil. And you can pray that they be destroyed. Pray for the destruction of BlackRock, Blackstone, Vanguard, because it's all the same company. Or evil blood corporation, whatever you believe. And just pray for destruction of Lucius Trust, Bilderberg Group, fake alien invasion. Pray that all their plans and agendas fail. Pray for the failure of Vision 2030, which is Saudi Arabia's plan for 2030. Pray for it all to fail. Pray that their plans never see fruition. They're rotten fruit from a shitty tree, right? That's in the Bible. That's not the way that it's supposed to say it, but They're evil, and they're giving you rotten fruit from a rotten tree, and they're rotten. And we got to pray for each other and stop us from fighting each other. When you see the video, because I've seen from Iran where they're burning a statue of Moloch, or it looks like Baal, it's like a horned god thing, and they're burning this statue of a guy with like a minotaur head guy, and then it has the American flag and the Israeli flag on it. They know what's up. Like they know that's, we're like the U.S. military being used to. Israel wants it. Go get it. That's what's happening. You know this already. You probably are more articulate with it than me, and you maybe don't even make videos. But anyway, I can't shut up about it. So pray to God. That's really what I want you to get out of this. Pray to God. You're limited only by the limits of your own creativity and how you can pray creatively for the evildoers to be stopped. Lord, I pray for those souls who can be saved to be saved, but make them stop. And I don't think it's wrong to get specific. If you understand something on the world stage and say that it concerns you, think about how you want to take it to God and pray to Him about it. And ask Him to perfect your prayers, correct your prayers, and grant you the things that you ask in prayer for you and those for whom you pray. And it could be the whole world. And there's a lot of help from the Psalter of how to pray big, how to pray for others. I love Psalm 25, the prayer for all of life. And depending on what version of the Bible you have, it may be like Psalm 26 or Psalm 24. But in Psalm 25, the prayer for all of life, that's the name of the prayer. And you can pray that for all the whole world. And there's a whole bunch, Psalm 70, Psalm 53, or 52, depending on what, the Great Schism or whatever you want to believe about that. But save us, O Lord, by your strength, that kind of thing. And it also, the Psalter informs us how to pray. I'm really going to go now. So what do you think about all this? Hey, we're the people of Revelation 20. Maybe for you and I, because we're alive, the worst is just beginning. But at least it's not like those guys back in the Great Tribulation. So, all the horrifying plans they have lined up for us, I don't think they're going to get to have them. I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, it's all going to happen like within the next year, the next 5 years, even the next 10 years. When we pray for their plans to fail, we're praying for us to have more time to be watchful, to be prepared to get closer to God, and so that other people will have this. So you can pray to throw their timelines off. Pray to throw their plans and agendas off. And pray that they be unable to lash out, strike back, or retaliate. Turn them back. Send them away. These kinds of things. And, pray for those who can be saved to be saved. And for those who need to be stopped to be stopped. But also keep in mind that there are prayers where they're praying, and it's in the Psalter, open the pit, Lord, send them down alive into hell. Let them be food for the jackals. It's serious. But, that's not the same as today, I think we may be the rest of the dead that's referred to in the Bible. So, pray to God, and it's the most advanced technology. Forget about the technology they're using against us. Weaponized technology against the forces of darkness and the wealthy elite whose fortune shaped the fates of nations, who are whispered to or openly just conversing with demons and just talking to blood ghouls and all this shit, and dead Nephilim and fallen angels, and they're hanging out with principalities or whatever may be happening. We have power in our prayer to take it to God and pray for help and forgiveness, which is very important. But that's personal. I mean, also you can pray for the forgiveness of others. Maybe your family doesn't pray and say, please, Lord, forgive them. They know not what they do. Like when they were stoning St. Stephen, the proto-martyr, or Stephen, however you want to pronounce it. They were killing him, and he said, forgive them, Lord. I've seen you. I know what's up. They're not going to get this. Forgive them, Lord. They know not what they do. The guy's dying, and he's praying, like, forgive them, Lord. Don't you want to be like that guy? Yeah, you can do that now. and they're not stoning you. Maybe you're just trying to pray to God so that you stop getting stoned, with a bong or whatever. So pray to God and ask for help, because I don't need to know you to know that you need it. And it can be as simple as, well, I don't know what I need. Take it to God. Say, I don't know what I need, Lord, but I know that you do. Please help me. Please help my loved ones. Or if you don't have any, say, please help me, Lord. I pray for loved ones. A lot of people are very lonely. And a lot of families have been divided and conquered. And a lot of them haven't. So pray as you will. But pray. Pray to Jesus. Amen to that. The globalists don't want you to pray. Ha 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 ha. That's my Seth Rogen, Alex Jones mashup prayer. Pray to God.